Hi, welcome to Chosen Few Expats. My name is Alonzo. Today we're going to be interviewing one of the best immigration lawyers in Panama, Giovanna Bernal of Prime Solutions Tax and Legal. Giovanna has a distinction of being recognized by U Global Immigration as a verified immigration professional. She's going to cover for us here several different options for visas and residency in Panama, including a couple of options that are available for people maybe who don't qualify for the pensionado visa or who don't want to make the investment of $200,000 for a property or in a bank CD. She has a couple of options that she's going to discuss, and you can hear the rest of the information here in the interview with Giovanna. You all enjoy. Hi, welcome to the Chosen Few Expats Show. I'm Alonzo. Today we have with us a guest who has been an immigration lawyer in Panama for 20 years. She's someone that if you frequent research on Panama on Facebook, you may have run across. We want to welcome Giovanna Bernal to the show. Welcome to the show, Giovanna.
You. Thank you, Alonso. Thank you so much for having me. So happy to be here.
Yeah. Very glad to have you back. We've been intending to have Giovanna back. It's been several months now, like 8 or 9 months since we did one of these before. But, we need to kind of come back on and do some updates. So, we want to try to have Giovanna on going forward, probably once every 2 or 3 months or so. With that, Giovanna, would you please just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Great. Thank you, Alonso. Thank you for inviting me again. And I know it's been a while. It's good to catch up and update and about ourselves. Well, I'm an attorney, a Panama attorney for more than 20 years. I'm also a CPA. And our firm is a law firm, but also an accounting and tax firm. We basically focus our service on expats and companies that want to establish in Panama. And for the expats, we help with the immigration, the visas, and we set up Panama companies, foundations, wealth planning, and rentals, reviewing the contracts and things like that, especially when someone wants to do business as well. We also support in that. But most of the time, the visas are the first thing that we do. So that part keeps us very busy.
I want to try to cover those visas. I think it'd probably be best to first cover one of the most popular visas, the pensionado visa. If you can give our subscribers and viewers some information concerning that.
Great. Yes, the pensionado visa, I think, is the most popular type of visa, especially because of the benefits. And also it's quite straightforward because you get permanent residency in less than 6 months. And also because of the cost, because it's quite affordable, because it doesn't bring costs to be paid. And if you have a pension for life, whether it is public or it's private, like by insurance or a bank trust, you of at least $1,000 a month, you can apply. So that's quite an option for a lot of people. So this is why it's very popular. And well, you mentioned also that there are some updates and things like that. We just changed government last month, and
Yes.
we are expecting, right, if there are going to be changes or not. We'll see. But so far, it seems quite stable. The visa, pensional visa, the requirements are the same. So it's a good option to plan and do it. Even though if you are not planning to relocate this year and start moving, you can do it. And as long as you come to Panama once every 2 years, you can secure your pensional visa.
Oh, Giovanna, you're too smart for me, girl. Too smart for me. So that was really my last question that I had. But we can go through these different visa types. But that was one of the questions here is like any anticipated changes with the new administration, because, there's always something, even when there's not a change of administration. True. So many things always change so fast. Like, like when the old friendly nations visa, went away. And that's the one we came in on just before they changed it in August of 2021. So that was a question we had. So thank you for for giving us a heads up on that. Like we're looking out, but so far you don't see anything yet. I haven't heard of anything yet changing?
No, no. I'm part of the Immigration Commission on the National Bar Association. They had a meeting
Oh,
last week, and we made some suggestions. There might be some upgrades and some changes, but for good on some of the visas. Maybe some new visas, but it's more to update and integrate the permits. Because as you know, the Friendly Nations visa was changed in 2020-21, and then some others visas were approved during COVID as well. So maybe they will integrate and put into one single document the visas. But if we anticipate changes, it's going to be for good, for new visa types, so more people can apply and be integrated in different categories, not only pensionado for the Friendly Nations.
oh, okay. That's great. That sounds great. I do wish they would consider bringing back the old friendly nations, but it's probably no chance at that. But that would be nice if they did that. Be a lot easier for some people to gain residency here, I think.
Right, exactly. Maybe they will change the friendly nations. There's an option for work, and probably we will discuss that later. So maybe they will change or add a category under that category, which is for work, for people that are independent or professionals, and not only in a
Right.
payroll. Mhm,
All right. Yeah,
mhm.
so I forgot to mention before getting started, if you all are interested, you can book a free consultation with Giovanna. I placed the website there at the bottom of the screen. It's primesls.com/book free consultation -1 /. Also on the screen, I'll put a QR code that you'll see flashing up at the top. Throughout this interview, if you're interested, you can scan the QR code and book your free consultation with Giovanna. So you mentioned it somewhat here, but the next one I think we want to get into is the current version of the Friendly Nations visa, and I know there's 3 different options, 3 different ways you can secure that, and maybe if you could tell us a little bit about that one.
All right. Yes. Well, in
Yeah.
Panama, we have 3 paths for the Friendly Nations visa. It's good that we can summarize them. We have the Friendly Nations visa by investment on real estate, which is basically investing on property with a mortgage or in cash. Then we have another one that is getting popular, which is opening a bank account in Panama with a fixed term deposit for 3 years, investing 200K there, and then also this will lead to permanent residency. And the third option that we have discussed is the Friendly Nations visa for work, which is basically someone that wants to find job in Panama through a Panamanian company, get a job permit, and also residency. And in 2 years, they will obtain permanent residency. And we have an option for those that wants to start a business in Panama and be self-employed under that corporation or LLC, which is self-employed. So this option is also good for those that sometimes they don't have the capital or to invest in property, or they don't want to put for 3 years money on a bank account. So, and they want to do maybe business and start something new in Panama or grow their business in Panama. Some of them do offer services. Let's say if they're from the US, they can do the same in Panama, increase maybe the market by having Panamanian clients or services. Or anything. Just to take the things that we need to take in mind is that there are some restricted professions that cannot be carried on in Panama. But rest than that, for example, services is quite open, and retail is restricted. Wholesale of good, if you say you have an online business, you can have a restaurant, a coffee shop, you can offer your own services to third parties, and so on. So basically, it's that, and this is a good option that leads to permanent residency.
Yeah, that sounds like a great option, and that sounds like one I think that most of our subscribers would be interested in. But maybe can you give us a little bit more insight into that one, because I'm hearing, with that one, basically when you set up a company and you set yourself to be maybe paid out a salary, you have to show that documentation. to the government. And I believe you have to, register with the like Social Security and everything like that. And also, are there any requirements for hiring, a certain number of Panamanians with that option?
Exactly. It's good that you mentioned that because it's true. They changed that last year. The work permit options changed in May last year. So right now we have the option. We have two options for job permit. One is if you are in the payroll by paying Social Security, but adding at least 3 Panamanians. That is a job permit that is called for small companies. And then we have the option that is equivalent to self-employed, which is in Spanish is cuenta propia, which is like something you do on yourself, by yourself only with no employees. For example, if you want to work in a company, if you're a community manager, do you do social media for a third party? You can have your own company. You can have your own job permit under this category and apply for the Friendly Nations visa because it's a type of position that you don't need to have Panamanian employees probably, but you do need to show a job permit because if you are in an office offering a service and there's an inspection from the Ministry of Labor, you need to show. So everybody needs to show that they have a job permit. And the same applies even though if you work from home, it's important that you have all your paperwork like the permit for living in Panama, but also the job permit if you are applying under this category. If you are applying on other category, for example, like pensionado, and you are offering services on your own, you might don't need to show a job permit. There's actually not a category for pensionado right now for a job permit. We'll see if these governments change that or approve a type of job permit for pensionados, because in general, pensionados cannot work. But there are some exceptions. But yes, this is the situation right now. So maybe they will clarify that in the future, and we'll see how it goes.
No, okay. Yeah, that does make sense concerning the pensionados not having a work permit option because you're supposed to be retired, by definition. So,
I know.
but I know some
know.
people are still working, but it's kind of it's tough. So maybe they'll do something to help those folks out with that. But
Yes, there are young people, especially from the army or military, that are 35, 40, and they want to work. They want to do things with Panamanian companies, do some business and some work. Sure.
right, right. Yeah, so thank you for that information. So the next visa I wanted to get some information on here is the professional visa. Can you tell us a little bit about that option?
Sure. The professional visa is an option for those that have a degree that is not restricted. For example, medicine, law, accounting, architecture, engineering, being a therapist like psychology, those activities, there is a long list that maybe we can share, are restricted activities. Therefore, for the professional visa, it's not possible to apply. But if you have a degree with, for example, education, arts, business, management, marketing, those activities are not restricted. And if you have a degree, you will be eligible to apply for permanent residency under this category. And this option is good, as I mentioned, if you can comply, with your degree, your transcripts, and your course description. As long as you have that, and the University of Panama is willing to recognize your degree. When I say recognize, it has to be a degree that is similar to our system. If management is related to Panama management curricula, they might approve it. It's not a straightforward process that we get documents and we submit application and you get temporary like all the others, but you will have to wait a little bit, maybe a couple months, until waiting for what they say. But it's a good option if you cannot apply to any of the other categories and you are willing to be patient and wait and see if they approve it. And it's like step-by-step process, and then you can apply for the permanent residency under the professional visa.
You did mention the 25 or so restricted job. So I was able to put that on the screen, those degrees, so that the folks can see, kind of where they fall. I mean, my degrees are in engineering, so for me, it's it's a
Oh,
wrap for me. So,
yeah,
thank you for sharing that. So the next one,
sure.
and I don't know how many people are going to be looking into this one, but we'll share the information regardless. Is the qualified investor visa? Can you
Mhm.
give us some information on that particular option?
Yes, this is a type, a sort of like a VIP fast track red carpet visa for those that are looking to get a residency in less than 30 working days, basically by investing 300K on real estate. And right now, there are developers that are also offering this type of option because pre-construction is available, different from the friendly nations and the other investment visas. Pre-construction is available, and as long as the investment is 300K, they will approve the permanent residency. Another advantage is that the applicant doesn't need to come to Panama to process the visa. It can be submitted by the attorney, and then once it's approved, the applicant will come to take the pictures of their cedula and their permanent residency card. So it's quite attractive for those that maybe they don't want to come to, they cannot come to Panama, they live far away, or they really need to have permanent residency quite fast. A lot of people like to apply if they want to change tax residency because they have a plan to maybe not US, of course, but maybe Europeans, Canadians, and they want to change their tax residency to Panama. They do that quickly and start getting the 183 days by living and staying in Panama so they can be tax resident here. So that's quite attractive for that reason. And maybe people that live far away, so the flight tickets will be expensive, or if they have children, because when you sum up the fees, it's quite more expensive than the others.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the 183 days, to qualify as a tax resident in Panama. That's good information that some people out there may need to know whether they're going for this visa type or not.
Mhm.
But it just made me think about another question that a lot of people have, which is when you do have permanent residency in Panama, what is the minimum required stay or minimum or required time that you have to be within Panama's borders for
Yes, at least.
these different visa types?
Right, right. Well, if you have permanent residency, you need to enter Panama at least once every 2 years, at least, to have it in good standing. If you cannot do that by any reason, like during COVID, a lot of people couldn't make it, couldn't come here. So there is a process to put it active back to what it was. It's not that you will lose your visa if you cannot come in 2 years, but there is a process to reinstate the residency process again. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really, really lenient law by Panama. I know some other countries, you have to be in the country for 6 months. I think that's the case with Ecuador. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine who now has moved to Panama from Ecuador, because of some things that were going on in Ecuador, and actually relinquished her Ecuador permanent residency because of that requirement, because you can't, if you really want to go live somewhere else, it's hard to meet the requirement to live in another country for 6 months. So
Wow.
that was difficult. But with Panama, it's a really good thing if you only have to enter once every 2 years to maintain your residency. That's great. Hopefully they
Totally.
don't change that one.
No, I don't think so. We have in terms of taxes, we have a territorial tax system, and that is when we request the 183 days. But it's more because of the taxes, right? Some people think that if they just get the qualified investor visa, they get automatically tax residency. It's not really linked to the investment. You have to stay really, but it's just for taxes. It's not for getting the residency active.
Right.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Well, the next thing I did want to cover, which is not technically, I guess, is not a permanent residency visa, but it is an option for some folks, something you mentioned to me before is the 1-year U.S. citizen visa. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yes, this visa is being quite popular in the last year, since the last year for our cases, because we realized that there is an option for people that wants to move to Panama and that they don't want to start or they can't start with the friendly nations. For example, young people that they want to explore and try Panama, but they don't want to leave and stay only 180 days and then maybe travel, go to Colombia, buy a round trip ticket, or go to Costa Rica and come back. They want to stay for a fixed amount of time, work, and don't forget that they have to maybe pay penalties if they overstay. That is a good option for those. They can renew and stay here, and then maybe if they like Panama or they want to stay for a long term, they switch to that. Also, it's good for those that are really looking to move to Panama and their social security payments, benefits will start in 2 years. So they can start with this one and then switch to pensionado, but they still can have a type of residency in Panama and finish their business back home and then move here. And then once they start receiving benefits from pensionado, they switch to the pensionado visa, which is permanent. I realize that some people are really interested because of this reason. As you know, nowadays, quite a lot of people are really looking to move to another country, retire in a new place. And Panama is quite attractive for lifestyle, cost of living, and also it's a peaceful country. So they don't want to wait. They want to move as soon as possible. So this is an option, to start. And also for those that want to explore, like instead of the digital nomad visa, a US person can apply to this one, and then the digital nomad is only for 9 months. So why not applying to this one, stay for a full year, and then maybe switch to another, or maybe travel, go to other country, right? And like digital nomads do nowadays. So yes, it's a
Right.
good option. Oh, and another thing I want to mention is that this option doesn't require an investment. So it's also an option for which is good for someone that is on a budget, because it only requires to show that you're going to study a course or study here or work here, or you show that you have an intention to set up a Panama company, like the Friendly Nations visa before it was changed. You show that you are a shareholder in a company, like the one that is for Italian, more or less.
Right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is great. This is a great option for a lot of people. And I know you mentioned the people who kind of want to stay here for a while, move on to another country, but you did also mention the people maybe who are trying to, bridge, that gap until they can start receiving, retirement benefits, and switch over to the pensionado, like you said. Now, this is a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic option for that.
Yes.
As long as they have the ability, if they're not retired yet, if they have the ability to still work remotely and earn income, when physically living outside of the U.S., then yes, they can,
Oh, yeah.
5 years before they hit retirement age, you can do this and renew it, and until you can reach the point where you can qualify for the pensionado. So this
Exactly.
is
And
an,
don't miss much time, right? Don't
yeah,
lose
this is an amazing,
time. Uh-huh.
it's
And
amazing option. Yeah,
yeah. This year is election years, and the people also want to have a plan B. So this is an option
yeah,
like plan B. If you need to rush and move quickly and you have this already done. And
this
so
is a good option. Yeah.
you
People are coming. They're coming, and they're going to continue to come. So, yeah, I know when you say Panama is a great option, I know you're biased. You're Panamanian, of course, but I am also biased when it comes to Panama. Having lived here now for nearly 4 years and did a lot of research before moving here, but I'm still waiting on somebody to show me a better option. I mean, I honestly am. Like, people can say I'm biased and all of that. We do consultations to try to help people move here, and we're going to start up doing some tours to help people move here. So yeah, you can say I'm biased, but I'm still waiting on someone to show me a better option when it comes to, everything you need to look at: cost of living, economy, like you said, peaceful country, great
Mhm.
people, the weather. Just when you total up the whole package, Panama really is great. And there are places that are less expensive, but there's trade-offs. Some of those less expensive places are more dangerous because Panama is also very safe, which is, another
Exactly.
reason why we love it here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know we had mentioned earlier about any anticipated changes with the new administration. So I will still hit again on that. Like if there's, anything at all you want to add there, or is that we just pretty much still just waiting, people kind of getting into their new roles and new offices and
Exactly.
waiting to see what happens?
Yes, it seems like it's too soon to have an answer yet, especially because the new administration, when they start their new role, they focus more on the immigration because of the crisis, on the Darien jungle of the immigrants that are going up north and like that. So they wanted to solve that first. So maybe, and then to focus more on the internal procedures on new visas. And so I think it's too soon. I think we will probably knew more in the next few months. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, once again, we want to try to encourage people to book a free consultation with Giovanna. Again, we have the website there on the screen, primesls.com/book-free-consultation-1/, or you can scan the QR code that I will place on the screen. If you want to book a free consultation with Giovanna to talk through what's the best option for you and your family in more detail than we were able to cover, in this video. But again, we want to thank Giovanna so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us. We always appreciate having you on, and we're definitely looking forward to having you on, in the near future.
Thank you, Alonso. Thank you for inviting me anytime. Bye-bye. Ciao.